Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the February 17th Ashland Board of Health meeting to order. Two of our board members are remote, so any votes tonight will be a roll call vote. The first thing on the agenda is citizen participation. Do I have anybody for citizen participation? Okay. That being said, the next thing on our agenda is 21 Main Street, Unit 201, Housing Code violation. Raj, can you take us through that?
Thank you, Chief. Is there anybody from 21 Main Street, please?
Good evening. My name is KJ Degmani. I'm the owner of YIF Management and Development. We are the landlord and property manager for the family trust that owns the property.
Mr. KJ, I just want to brief the board of what's going on, right? And then like to know, from your side, right?
Sure.
So, board, this was early Jan. We did get a complaint from the occupant at 21 Main Street, Unit 201, that they had a non-working stove because of a fire. So, early Jan, we was out at the unit, verified with the fire department that there was a fire there. Fire chief was on site on the day of the fire, and the stove was tagged by the fire department. Based on that inspection, there was like 3-4 more violations. On Jan 6, we issued the order to correct letter. And there were 7 days that we have given them to the YAF management. There is a toddler that lives on the property, but till now we have not gone compliance with this. This is almost a month and a half over that. So I have 3 citations for value of 100, 200, and 300 issued. The first violation was issued on Jan 6. The second was February 2nd and the February 4th. So there are 3 violations that are issued. I'm sorry, the first one is not Jan 6. The Jan 6 was the order to correct letter. So, Mr. KJ, can you please tell me why we have not gone compliance with this so far?
I would be more than happy to. I'd like to first start out by saying that while we understand that we must comply with this, and we, as the owner of the company, I take this quite seriously. But in terms of the events that transpired, I think it's imperative that I articulate that the fire that transpired in the unit was a result of negligence by the tenant. Granted, it's not here nor there. From the standpoint of coming compliant, it's our responsibility to address it. Nonetheless, the tenant was cooking a turkey, started a fire. I'm not going to sit here and speak to anyone's cooking prowess, but it was completely negligent. That was verified by our staff, our plumbers, and by an appliance technician that we have. So again, the act itself is, from what we gather, the responsibility and failure of the tenant to adequately use the stove. Regardless, we went ahead and ordered the stove, a brand new stove, in order to get into compliance. Unfortunately, the delivery date, given the holidays, are a little bit longer than we'd like. That is not, an excuse. We don't feel that that is by any means something that, is anyone's fault but our own. We take full responsibility for that. Because the nature of the stove, given that that is a gas stove and that it's going to require gas fittings, we were required to have a plumber come in, pull a permit in order to connect the stove. The plumber worked very quickly to pull the permit to address it. The plumber, however, did take a little bit longer than we have liked to. Where we have now found the delay, respectfully, is we've had the plumber for probably, I'd say, 10 days now, and we have repeatedly requested to have a reinspection. We're being told that we have to call the inspector between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, which is non-business hours for our office, and it's certainly non-business hours for the plumber. And then we're going to then be told when the inspector can be there. We have a litany of emails just saying, can we just please put together a time and a place so that all parties can be involved, because the plumber will probably be in the middle of a job somewhere. And again, it's not unreasonable to put in a preordained date and time for us to physically be there. And we have multiple emails indicating that we're just looking to have a reinspection and we're being told, call the inspector between 7 or 8, non-business hours, so that we can contact the plumber during that period of time to meet us there at some point at the discretion of the inspector. That's a little bit difficult given that we are a professional company. This is a professional plumber. If we can simply just get the inspectional services to just give us a date and time so that we can coordinate with the plumber and make sure that we can do that. In fact, we had an inspection, I believe, sometime last week. We had the plumber there. The tenant didn't let us in. So there are factors here that are not being articulated that have delayed this, both from the standpoint of the plumber, the standpoint of inspectional giving us a reasonable ability to schedule this. We complied with that and we still had the plumber there and we were not let in. We would assume that, you know, the town would have made it very clear to the tenant that we had to address this and we now have to reinspect it. So we're at this juncture, granted, because of some delays that had to do with ordering in the beginning. We take full responsibility for that. We feel that the recent efforts on our part are not our fault and feel that we should at least be given an opportunity to coordinate this with some degree of professionalism, both with our company, our business hours, and around the coordination of a plumber who, again, he 7 to 8 a.m., 7 to 9 a.m., those are deemed as emergency hours. We've been cited for this, for the delays that are being done by, you know, exterior variables out here. Again, everything is our responsibility. I wouldn't be on this call if I didn't take this seriously. However, we have been put in a position where our ability to conduct a reinspection, to coordinate with the plumber, and to gain access with the town there, which we feel is slightly unreasonable for us to close the door on this. And in that time, we received hundreds of dollars of fines, which I feel at the very least, the first one, we're more than happy to accept it, but I would like the opportunity to at least, you know, somewhere down the line here, express in writing and provide all the necessary documentation to maybe get some clemency on the other fines that we received, because again, we can only handle so much. And again, we've been there. We were there with the town. We weren't let in by the tenant. The town should have intervened at that point, and that's why we're here even further now. This should have been closed out at least a week ago. And we just want to, at the very minimum, and I think we should be given the professional courtesy of just giving a date and time, a window of time, so that the plumber can be there, the town can be there. I just think it's unreasonable for us to call between 7 or 8 in the morning and then tell the plumber when the inspector will be there. And we have a litany of emails verifying this.
Mr. KJ, I just want to clarify one thing, so first thing, I was never notified that you've been calling, the department or.
Oh, we have emails. I mean,
Sir,
we have emails.
Not to
We have
me,
emails.
okay? So if you are talking to a different department, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
It should have copied you should have copied us on that email. Other thing I want to point, right? Now, the tenant issue that they didn't give you access, you should have notified us on that too. I got an email half an hour back from your office regarding that. Now, if you don't communicate to me, there's no way I'm going to know that that's the issue, right? So your office need to do a little better with the communication, because if we don't know, there is nothing much I can do, right?
I am not looking to joust with this matter. We manage thousands of units across Greater Boston. We looking to reconcile this matter. My response to that is that if your staff was there on site, I don't think there's any further room for interpretation that your department was made aware that we were not let in. I don't think we should have to be responsible to tell your staff that we were not let in, because I'm going to guess that there's going to be a report filed that the tenant did not grant us access by your staff. But again, I'm not here to joust that. And as I'm reading these emails, I am looking, Mr. Gupta, at just, I would say about a dozen emails where we've communicated this. And I'm not looking to, throw anybody under the bus here, but I stand by our communication. We communicate and respond to you probably, I would say in some cases, a matter of minutes rather than hours, and certainly not days. All I'm asking is that a very basic, very simple scheduling of this where everybody can be involved. And I would hope that we're not doing some sort of 3-hour window where we have to pay a plumber by the hour to be there. I don't see why it's so difficult for us to just say, can we do 2 p.m. on a Friday? The tenant, whether they're there or not, they have to let us in. And again, I think that should have been something your staff should have addressed very clearly. And once that's closed out, I fully intend on fighting the fines that we were given, because I think some of these fines were given to us not only with the inability to really exercise our ability to coordinate properly and professionally, but again, I'm not going to sit here and joust about it. I have everything in writing. We have a lot of communication here. I don't even know if my head of maintenance, who I think might have called, Marco, are you on the Zoom? I don't know if he's on the Zoom or not, but he was supposed to be on it. Nonetheless, I don't see anything more than us sending you an email. And if there's an email that we can send to Mr. Gupta that we can also copy the board on, and I would be more than happy to forward all of these emails, because I am not in the business of providing prevarications to a town and the people that run it. We take this matter very seriously. It's a beautiful property. It also probably would be appropriate to us to let you know that this is also a tenant that hasn't paid us rent and is, quote unquote, playing the system on us right now. But nonetheless, we just want to close this out. And again, I think we can all understand that when it comes to a plumber, calling at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and then saying, we'll let you know we're going to be there. And that is what has been told to us in writing. We will let you know and we'll be there, is a little unreasonable. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for all that, KJ. Raj, I have a question for you, Raj. The fines, how much in fines have they been
Totally
assessed?
600.
How much?
Totally 600?
600. Okay. What I'd like to do at this point is, KJ, I'd like you to forward all of the communication to
Happy
Raj.
to. No, I'd like to forward it to somebody on the board.
Sure. What's it for the whole board? What is it? Board of Health?
I also have one more request if I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I would like to know that moving forward, my building in Ashland will not have a target on its back, because the manner in which that we've been fined has been done so with impunity and without keeping any consideration to the communication that we have set forth.
This is what I'm trying to fix right now. So let me finish, okay? What I'd like you to do is forward the email to Raj, and you can send those emails to the entire Board of Health if you do boardofhealth@ashlandmass.com.
Hold on.
I'm going to ask Raj,
Ashland Mass, like MASS, or just MA?
Ashland, AshlandMass.com. Okay? I'm going to ask Raj tomorrow morning to meet with the inspector, to have some kind of communication with you, KJ, so we can set up a time. I'm also going to ask Raj to reach out to the resident so that we can make sure that you can get access. I hear your frustration.
Under our lease agreement, if it's determined under mass law, if it's determined to be an emergency, which guessing by the fact that the first time in 25 years that I've been owning and managing real estate, I've had to be put in front of a board about, fines and violations and such, that I can enter that unit whether I want, whether she lets us or not.
But let's try to do this with everyone in agreement. I'm going to ask Raj to contact the resident, and I will have Raj contact the inspector and get back with you with some dates and times. And then once we have the email, but I am going to ask my board for a vote to, once we have all the emails, that we will waive these fines with the understanding that there's been some miscommunication between multiple departments within the town. So I would look for a motion on that so we can then continue the discussion.
I have one other question, if you don't mind.
Let us finish our motion to get
Sure,
that
go
through
ahead.
first.
So moved.
I'll second it.
You'll second it. Okay, so I need a roll call vote on that. Jay?
Aye.
Maurice?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so we have a motion, a second, and it's been approved. So once we have those emails, we will waive those fines. And we've asked our health director, we've given him some action items to deal with this.
Okay.
And
May I ask
go
one?
ahead.
I just have one last question.
Sure.
What is the scheduling protocol with the Board of Health? Is the protocol to call us before your offices are even open and to let you know when we can be there?
So us as a board, we're an elected board.
Sure.
The health director works for the town. And
Okay.
he, in essence, reports to the town manager and us as a board.
Okay. What time does, so what time does the building department and the, and ISD, et cetera, just, I would imagine that Public Works in general all opens at the same time, correct?
The building office opens at 7:30, so they start functioning at that. So I cannot talk on their functioning. I mean, you can check with them, sir. One thing I want to point out, I have another complaint in this building. Now, I want to be very clear up in public, that it should not be taken that we're going to another unit because of you being called here. I have another logged complaint at the building.
Heat's been fixed. Heat's been fixed.
I don't know, sir. I did get a complaint. I need to look into that.
Help yourself. Help yourself. Heat's been fixed.
So we didn't
Okay.
even talk about it, so I just want to let you know.
You
The
talked
other
about,
thing I want to make it,
you actually brought it up in an email the other day.
I mean, I never mentioned
You
the
brought it
unit
up
or
to me,
anything,
you brought it up, you
so
brought
I
it up
just
to me in an email the other day, in almost a threatening kind of way, as if to say, you're dealing with this, and now we're dealing with that. And we've already fixed that issue. So don't say you didn't bring it up, because you brought it up to me in an email the other day.
Mr. KJ, I have a duty to
I'll let
do,
the, I'll let
so
the emails speak for themselves. and I look
absolutely,
forward-
I would like to see those emails as well, so I want the board to see those emails as well, so we're going to go on the facts,
All right. I know you guys have a lengthy agenda tonight. I appreciate you guys voting and everything. I look forward to hearing from the health department, and thank you guys. I appreciate
Great.
it. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is an update for Chestnut Apartments. Is there anybody from Willow Bridge Management here?
Hi, yes, it's Stacy Lovell.
Hi, Stacy. Who wants to go first? Raj, do you want to go first, or Stacy, or?
I guess the board asked for the update from
Yeah,
them.
yeah, so, yeah, Stacy, do you want to just give us an update since the last meeting on what's happening there?
Yeah, sure. And I apologize. I tried to send you guys something to review prior to this, but I didn't realize it was a general Board of Health email, so I can see if I can send it after.
Okay,
But with the 3 open cases, the first apartment, 19A03, they're still refusing us to enter the apartment for more treatments. I believe that Raj and Brian have been in touch about that. 2035, Raj, you inspected that on the 12th. Is that all set on your end?
That's correct, Stacy, so that unit is good.
Okay, that one's all set. And the last one is 837. The resident as well was refusing us to enter the apartment for more treatments. We did get them to agree to let us in. I believe it was this week or next week for another treatment.
Is that all, Stacy?
So just the 3, yes.
So yeah, just my update to the board, right? I had like maybe 3 inspections, right? The sanitation being better, but still way more to go, I had seen stuff, I've sent you pictures, right? Some organic matter around the dumpster, right? I met Brian last week, end of last week, I guess it was Wednesday, right? When we inspected that unit, we talked about it, right? There's some debris around the dumpster there, so definitely there is improvement, but we have way more to go. Only other thing, I guess, again, I don't think so it's my matter, but I was told, right, like during the last whole month, one of the employees was out, right? So you guys have only one employee, managing all those 206 units. So I will say,
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. We had 1 employee out. We have 4 on site. We had 1 employee on leave, so we had 3.
Now there are four employees. So yeah, that's good, So just my note, right, that we want to keep up the sanitation,
So Stacy, thank you for that update. Seems like we're making progress there. If you could just, if you notice anything happening or having issues with getting into tenants' apartments, maybe if you just email us and Raj so we know, and then maybe we can offer you some assistance there.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate you coming
You're
tonight.
welcome. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right, next thing on the agenda is an exterior grease trap for New York Pizza at 1 West Union Street. Do we have anybody here for that hearing?
I'm here.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself and,
My name is Khaled Adam, and I'm the owner of New York Pizza on West Union Street.
okay, Raj, you want to?
So Chief, again, this is a change of ownership. We have previously had an external grease trap waiver at this place, What I found out, the neighboring two businesses is attached to the grease trap. They do have external grease trap on the property. But this particular one, Bella Pizza, was now New York Pizza is not attached to it, Given it's a change of ownership, it'll be heavy burden at this point asking them to hook up to the external grease tap, or I don't know if it's even feasible, that I am in support of the external grease tap waiver for the New York Pizza, Only thing I want to mention that they need to maintain and properly, get the internal grease tap serviced on a regular basis, to make sure that none of the grease is going to our waters.
We have a company that picks up our grease on a timely manner. The grease, we have a drum outside, okay, and they're gonna be cleaning our grease trap monthly or quarterly, however the town wants.
Sure. But that the inspector will discuss with you, sir, given how much grease will you be generating and all that, looking at that, we'll convey that to you.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
When do you plan to open? Do you have a rough date yet?
So I don't have a date yet because I'm about to put a prep sink this week. The town inspector, the plumbing inspector asked me to put up a prep sink. So I'm trying to tackle that this week. So I'm hoping maybe the first week, second week in March.
Okay. Well, first, welcome to Ashland.
Thank you.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the exterior grease trap for New York Pizza at 1 West Union Street.
Thank you, sir.
So moved. Second.
Okay, and we need a roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Maurice?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. That is all set, sir, and Laurie, you'll get in touch with him with his waiver? Okay, thank you for coming tonight.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yep. Next thing on our agenda is an external grease trap waiver for Killer Pizza at 9 Homer Ave. Do we have anybody on for that?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm David Ribeiro, owner of Killer Pizza at 9 Homer Ave.
Okay, Raj?
Thank you, Chief. Again, change of ownership here. Davy. Davi.
Yeah,
Thank you, Davi. So, again, board, same situation here, a change of ownership. I'm not even sure if they have external grease trap in this building, or anything around. So, again, I'll support the external grease trap waiver given, it was given to the previous owner,
And when do you plan to open?
I'm trying to open as soon as possible. We have scheduled a final building inspection with Doug Scott. I'm trying to see if he can come by earlier with our contractor, trying to get a hold of him. But he has a schedule for March 5th. And after we get that final building inspection, we can get you guys in here to do an inspection so we can open it. So I'm going to try to have my contractor get a hold of him so we can try to do it sooner. But I am, planning to do a grand opening and ribbon cutting. But I'm just waiting for the building department for that final building inspection.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion for an external grease trap waiver for Killer Pizza at 9 Homer Ave.
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Maurice?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Sir, you're all set, and we will get that waiver over to you.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
for attending.
Yep.
All right, next thing on our agenda is the Creighton continued discussion. I'm going to leave that up to you, Jay.
All right, thank you. I think the first question I just asked the board is, did everybody get the material that Laura had sent out, that I sent to her in January. And it's just a lot of information about what the issue is, what the product is. And I just want to make sure that we're as efficient as possible with this discussion. So Dave and Ed, you guys are pretty much. And then Maurice and Barbara, do you need any background information about this? Or can I just proceed with the conversation that I had with Jack Lewis and kind of move forward? I'm happy to give you a briefing on the product too.
I am very well informed.
Okay. And Barbara?
No, you can go ahead with the information you have.
Okay, good. So, one of the action items from the last time we were sitting here was that I would go speak to Jack Lewis just to find out more about what the current legislation was in Massachusetts, and as we had determined that there were several bills kind of moving their way through the state, and so he brought me up to speed. We didn't talk about all of them. We focused on one, which he said was the furthest along in the process. So he was aware of all this, and this is House Bill 4394, which has kind of an interesting history to it. So it used to be, it originally was House Bill 1631, which was a total ban on kratom products. And I forget who sponsored it. I don't have the name. It might have been somebody on the South Shore, but Jack told me that it went to House Ways and Means, or it went to committee, and it was rewritten to be more of a regulation than a ban. And so in the sense that we had talked about previously, which was to regulate kratom products, to remove or to ban synthetic products or concentrated 7-hydroxymetragenine products, to ban analogs, and I forget the exact wording, but basically it was to put on age restrictions and things like that. So he told, and I can go into a little bit more detail because I kind of sketched out a straw man for what maybe a regulation might look like in Ashland if we were to go that route. But he said that this is the furthest along. I looked into it a bit more, and it looks like that the next hearing for this is scheduled for March 26, 2026. And again, this is a regulation. I think that the state is, I get the impression that they're taking it seriously. I'm not sure what the status is of the other bills that are in the process. So what I had done, given that, Maurice, you had I think the way we left it the last time we were actually sitting here at the end of the meeting, if I remember correctly, was my feeling was we're not really seeing any of these 7-hydroxymetragenine concentrated products in Ashland. It didn't really seem like it was an issue. I felt as though we should maybe consider just waiting for the state to act on it. And Maurice, I think you rightfully said, well, why wait when maybe we should be proactive? Why wait for a problem? And I think that, Raj, when you had mentioned that one of the establishments that was selling a kratom product was asked to stop selling that product based on the food code, which you have, every authority to do, I think that isn't, a bad problem. But if we had some regulation, that might not have had to happen. And so what I went ahead and did was I looked at House Bill 4394. I looked at the model of the Kratom Consumer Protection Act and some other ordinances, plural, from places like, I think it was North Attleboro or Attleboro, and then one that I think was from South Hadley from an email that we had received prior to this meeting. And then some other sources that I can't remember, but I basically took all of those things and put them together and drafted what perhaps a regulation might look like in Ashland. And again, this is regulating kratom products. It's not a ban on kratom. And then what I did was, and again, I'm not advocating for this, I'm just putting it out there as maybe something to discuss if we wanted to regulate it. This is one thing that we could do, and it would be aligned with that House bill that I'm talking about. Then I thought, okay, maybe this is going to confuse everybody because, where's this coming from last minute. So I put together a summary sheet that I sent out to Laura. She emailed to everybody, and basically it just provides a little of the rationale for this. And I think more importantly, it outlines the key provisions in this draft or straw man regulation, which it would be something like this. You've got to be age 21. You've got to have a photo ID. So just the same way we handle tobacco products. Labeling would be required of the product. The ingredients, serving sizes, limits on 7-hydroxymetragenine, and that would be 7%. And that number comes not only from the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, but it seems to be in that 2%, a number that scientists that are studying this and have testified at in front of Congress, Health and Human Services, they seem to focus on a 2% limit or 1 milligram per serving. So that seems to be what's considered reasonable. So there's a limit on how much of the 7-hydroxy product can be in the kratom product. It would ban, like I said, kratom alkaloids, anything extracted, any adulterants in the product, any synthetics, child-resistant packaging, behind the counter, have it situated behind the counter or offered behind the counter. There'd be, we could decide on what the penalties might be, enforced by Ashland's Board of Health, according to Department of Public Health standards, state DPH standards. And so I think that these would be considered by a lot of people fairly reasonable. And again, I think most importantly is that they would be aligned with that House bill that we talked about. So I know that was a lot. If anybody has any questions or comments, or even if you want me to back up a little bit, I can do that too.
Have you opened a public comment?
Nope, we are not.
Okay.
Jay, one question I had was around the fourth clause in Section 9 for enforcement, which is the standards for testing kratom products. So a lot of the regulations in this draft are, around sensible things like establishing sort of a number for both, like an acceptable level for the 7-hydroxy, especially, which appears to be the most common and dangerous, ingredient in these sorts of products. But and there's plenty of language around the labeling requirement, which of course is important. But I guess what I'm trying to figure out is like, what is the recourse if somebody mislabels something and says that there's, that they have less than, say, whatever, 2% or so forth of the 7-hydroxy, but they actually have more. Like, this is a common problem with nutritional supplements and so forth. And I don't know whether the town has the resources to.
That was actually, sorry. That's actually in here. I saw that.
There's a good faith
Yeah,
defense
right.
clause, but you're asking, I think, how would it be tested?
Right.
Right.
Like, so yes, it's entirely possible that a merchant might believe that the product that they're selling is, accurately and legitimately labeled, but it still may be mislabeled.
Correct. So the kratom products that I've seen, at least the ones available on the internet, many of them now are contracting out the analysis to third parties. And so they're doing, whatever, if it's HPLC or whatever they're doing, to look at concentrations. And so I think that they're getting a certification that way. And to me, that's the best you can do. And then that goes somehow on the product, either as a stamp. I don't know if, we're talking about food products now. At that point, right? So I don't know if you know more about, Raj, what is required.
So Dr. J, again, this is my understanding according to the food code, right? You cannot add it to the food. It's similar to, anything like cannabis or this we have dealt in before, right? It cannot be additive to the food. So any product that's coming, right, it should be in different form if we're gonna be allowed, you know. But if I don't think so that we can surpass or overpass what the food code dictates and, you know, have people sell anything in food.
I don't think that's the case, because these are would all be considered food products, and there's a definition of food, as this isn't a food product, just like, cannabis or CBD would be in a gummy, for example. Do you know what I mean? So I think that what this does is it allows coverage for it as to be in the food product.
But
Because how else are you gonna take it?
Dr. J, like, you know, again, then that we need to check, you know, because the food code being very strict of anything that can be added, right? So now the gummies and all that, you know, earlier it was coming, that was coming all out of state, right? Like in Massachusetts, that's not allowed, you know. We need to relook, like if this can be an additive to the food, you know, so that, again, that the products we saw, right, that we asked the vendor to take it, you know, off the shelves, right, that was added to the food because it was in a drink form, right? So that we definitely need to do, we all together as a board need to look, right?
Yeah.
If Massachusetts, to my understanding, it's prohibited in food. Anything, right, for that matter, cannabis or anything is not allowed to be sold as an additive to the food product.
So for cannabis, as an example, are the CBD gummies or cannabis, like THC gummies, are those not considered food?
So that's not allowed, sir, you know.
It's not allowed, or it's not considered food?
Yeah, if it is in food, right, then it's not allowed. The sale of it is not allowed. That's my understanding.
But
It's separate.
So
It's
the
separate.
gummy that you purchase is not considered food?
It is food, you know, but
So-
it's not allowed, you know.
But it's happening?
I 100% agree with you, but
Okay.
that's happening, you know, that it's coming out of state, you know, again, not allowed in Massachusetts, you know, so.
But I'm talking about the gummies that are sold at your local recreational cannabis shop.
No, I'm not sure, right, like if, because we don't have a cannabis shop here, you know, like there might be in adult use stores it allows, right? That might be a factor where with the other cities and towns that have allowed cannabis, right? That's allowed, you know, in those stores, right?
Yeah.
But not generally allowed as an additive to the food, you know, that at least I know, and then we can check more into this, you know?
Yeah, I think we should check, because if it's a state regulation that this just isn't possible, then I don't understand how that House bill would be able to go forward.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you've got to consume the product. And so if it's leaves and it's being consumed as a tea, then technically that's a food.
Right.
Like there'd be no way to get it into the system.
True, and
So-
again, that's the debate, right? Again, a lot of stuff that been happening till now, right? Or, you know, even with cannabis or THC, right? Everything is coming in form of the food, and like maybe that's the reason that the code doesn't allow it, you know, so that it is just, you know, like anybody can sell that, then,
Yeah.
you know, like, and I have read a lot about it. I've seen other health department taking enforcement on that, right? Even with the gummies and all that, you know, so.
Yeah,
Like-
you mean with THC
Yeah,
gummies?
So,
And in that House bill is that good faith defense for the retailers, protecting them, that they're gonna rely on the manufacturer's representation.
I don't know I don't think it was in that House bill. I think I grabbed it from.
Okay.
I mean, actually, it might be, but I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I don't
okay.
remember
But,
where.
but again, if that's something, we should look at that also.
Yeah.
Make sure, we should look at that also.
Yeah.
Well, and along those lines, I guess what I was getting at is like, so let's say, for example, that both the consumer and the retailer is being deceived, and that the manufacturer is selling something that's got a higher level of 7-hydroxy, you know, like what is, first of all, how does that get determined? Like, how do you, I mean, hopefully it's not because somebody had it and had a bad reaction to it,
Right.
but that might be the way that you figure it out, or at least the first clue. And then, like, you know, what's the recourse in that case? Do you just work with the retailer and say, you know, stop selling this stuff? Because I mean, that's, I think, where it starts to get a little bit,
I would assume that,
Complicated.
I would assume that if there's evidence that the product isn't what, that the labeling is wrong, that based on this, we can go in and there would be
And then
repercussions,
And
right?
then there's probably some kind of
Take it.
reporting mechanism to the state.
well, that's the
Also,
part that I'm also
right.
kind of asking about, is like, how does that information get disseminated so that other retailers don't make the same mistake?
I think if we discovered that, we'd have to report to the state,
Yeah.
and let the state take action from there.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that is important for all of us to understand, not just for this product, but for any products, because I'm still kind of confused. I mean, you know, we can imagine, you know, I don't know if melatonin is one of, like melatonin gummies, for example, you know, can that be in a food? It's in a gummy, it's sold at CVS. Like, I can imagine that there are several examples that, you know, according to that definition, wouldn't be, some products wouldn't be allowed, so. I'd like to better understand that too.
Right, Dr. J, like, that's what I have learned, you know, again, like, it'll be uncontrollable, you know, if this is allowed in food, you know, like, you know, so how do we regulate it, you know, or how do we keep it off the hands of the kids, right? Now, that was a problem with the gummies earlier with THC. Now, there've been instances, right, that kids have consumed it not knowing what's in it, you know? So, right, like, those gummies, like, if we're up in the counter and kids buy it, or even if they don't buy it, somebody have it and they end up consuming it, you know? So I guess that's one strong thing about the food part of it. But again, we need to look more into.
Yeah, if you
into
could,
it, you know, as an alternative.
maybe provide us with something that gives us some clarity around that. Again, I think even beyond this issue, that's helpful.
Absolutely, yes.
So I think at this point, our next step is to see what happens on March 6th
I think it's 20, you mean for
for
the
the next hearing.
26th, I can follow up with Representative Lewis. And just Barbara and Maurice, do you want to add anything? We can't see you, but I see your names.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for sending all of that information along and that draft of what something could look like for regulation in Ashland. I think it looked pretty good. I do think it's important that we ban, if we can, or restrict at least the 7-hydroxymetragenine if we can. In terms of the natural kratom, we can talk about that obviously, but I think it's important that we distinguish between the two of them.
So in your opinion, Maurice, it's worth following through with some kind of regulation that at least prohibits, covers the synthetics or the analogs of the alkaloids in kratom, right? So one way or another.
My personal feeling is we definitely should, at least for that.
Yep.
All right, so we'll wait, at this point, we're gonna wait for the next hearing to happen.
I would be in favor of that, you know, just kind of threw this out there for people to think about.
Yep.
But, you know,
Yep.
and Barbara, did you have anything to add?
No, I just wanted to mirror what Maurice said, and I think it's worth the wait.
Okay.
So we'll also plan to keep this on future agendas to continue our discussion.
Yep, that sounds good.
Is the material that you sent around, is that available to the public or through the meeting minutes or anything like that?
Right, this can be part of the minutes.
This,
Right.
but are you talking about the other, the
other
older stuff?
Yeah.
But when we do, if we're gonna put this on, it should be draft. We should label it as a draft.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Laura, are you able to do that?
Do a watermark, yeah.
Yeah, watermark draft. That way people can view this proposal and, you know, and for the public, you know, if there's something in there that you see that we should add, change, you know, please, we would like your comments so that they can be part of our next discussion also.
Particularly from Ashland residents.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
we would definitely entertain your comments and your feedback on this proposed draft.
So you want to have a public hearing?
Not a hearing yet, but if people want to comment, and then you can bring that, you can present those to us at our next meeting.
Yeah, and you know, apologies for not taking comments right now. We have citizen participation at the beginning of each of our meetings. That would be, you know, the time to chime in on that, so, but not on the regular agenda. And to your question, Dave, for the previous material that I added, like some of the videos and stuff like that, that just gives kind of the signs.
We can put it all in one place.
And would that be available? Is that your question too?
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea, both in terms of the open meeting law requirements, since we did discuss it, but
Yep.
also, I think if the public is looking to get educated on it, those were pretty good resources. I
Yep.
think they were accessible
Yeah.
for I think, most people.
And Laura, you have both of these that you can post for us? Perfect. Yep, so,
Okay.
we'll get that out on our website for people to view and make comments.
All right, excellent.
Great, thank you, everyone. Next thing on our agenda is, Dave Kinsman, you're next. Discussion on decisions at every turn.
Yes, so the first meeting that I attended as the liaison from the Board of Health was also the first meeting this year, which took place on January 21st. It was attended both by Raj, myself, Kelly Sankour, the principal of the Ashland High School, and a number of other people, including the new point person, Berlin Awatch. So it was a lengthy agenda. Some things that were included were discussion of the youth programming that's mostly focused around the schools. There's a lunch engagement where, you know, there's basically a table open during high school lunch for kids to get information. There was some discussion about how it's probably appropriate and perhaps even effective certainly effective, I think, to have something similar going on at the middle school, and that applies to some of the other programs as well. So there was discussion and I think some action items around that. There was, so Berlin discussed the Youth Prevention Council that has 4 student members, and working with them to come up with projects and material that can be used to, you know, get information to the students, as well as working with some of the clubs at the high school to do the same thing. There was also a section on mostly around sort of training and building capacity within the group, and then there was also some, I'm just trying to figure out how to characterize this, methods to get information out to the parents as well, since they're sort of a key part of that problem. So a lot of these were, you know, brainstorming amongst the groups, amongst the group that was present to come up with some new ideas, new approaches to strengthen those sorts of programs. And then finally, let's see, as I said, it was kind of a lengthy meeting, so I won't hit on everything. But there was some talk about the Sticker Shock campaign, which I guess met with sort of limited success last year, and some things that could be used to strengthen that. That's a program working with the Ashland Police and local retailers to try to both educate and sort of control the access of high schoolers to alcohol around the prom season. Then, you know, some other messaging campaigns that are going on within the high school as well, and effective ways to sort of reach out to high schoolers and change some of the norms in terms of, you know, social behaviors and that kind of thing. So the next meeting is March 18th, and prior to that, hold on just a minute. What's going on? There is a there is a ad hoc meeting, Talk They Hear You, which is scheduled for February 25th at 4 o'clock. So I'll be attending that as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Dave? Anybody?
I have a question. Dave, did they talk about the grant?
I actually didn't, I don't think so. Not specifically.
Grant that's funding the
Right.
position and,
Yeah, no, it wasn't specifically talked about, but
okay. Curious
not
if
that
there are any
I don't remember it, and I don't,
changes.
yeah. No, not this meeting.
Okay.
Maurice or Barbara, any questions? No?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
No, thank you.
Great. All right, next thing on our agenda is the health director's report.
Thank you, Chief. So first with our food establishments, Giovanni 67, that's the ice cream place we have on Union, right? So that's been closed for some time now. We did have an application from the new owner. We almost done the review of it. Only thing we are waiting is more information on the new hood they are trying to put over the pizza oven they're gonna be installing. So that's almost there. Killer's Pizza, we did had our pre-opening inspection. We didn't had any issues there. Hopefully now the owner was here in front of the board tonight. And then New York Pizza, previously Bella Pizza, we did had an inspection before the current owner took over, and it was a bad inspection. So he's actually currently renovating it, you know, as you mentioned, and then hopefully we have him back soon. With Connect Church, this one is pending from New Year. You know, they had their permit lapse because they didn't apply on time. I guess we are still missing one certification from them, Laura, right? That's correct. So we have not granted them permit so far for this year. That's with the Connect Church. We'll be hosting our second Stop the Bleed training, Ursna, and she did the first training and she'll be doing the second one on March 18th from 6 to 8. Then we are also planning a bigger training with our MRC unit, Mr. Eric, who's the main coordinator for our whole unit, the Middle Folk. He and me and planning a bigger training on the shelters, right? Last year, the town, we updated our shelter plan. Now, this training will gonna be more for 10 towns. Earlier, we was looking at our community center. The space might be a little smaller. Now, they're looking at a space in Natick where we'll be looking, or they'll be training us, you know, multiple departments, almost every other department in the town, you know, who, in case we have to set up a shelter in three different scenarios, right? Like shelter, just if it is cold or hot day, we have to set up a shelter, or then if it is a bigger event, you know, if we have to set up a shelter overnight, you know, how do we deal with that? So that's what we are planning right now. I did also attend the Boston Marathon meeting on Jan 30th with the PD and other town departments, you know, with the course planning team. And then again, I'll request the board, you know, if it can be present for the marathon day for our shelters, you know.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. I'm gonna be in New York, so this will be the first time in a while that
Right.
maybe somebody else did,
Sure.
but we can talk about that.
Thank you, sir. And
Sure,
then
we'll fill it in.
whichever board member can be present, you know. I guess most of you have done it, you know, so please let me know. With the Citizens Academy, this will be my third Citizens Academy. Will be presenting in front of the Citizens Academy on March 12th. And then with our tobacco educational visits, our tobacco control manager or the team conducted the training for all the 17 vendors in town. With the housing cases, 49 Cherry Street, this is the case we picked up in August 2025. We finally have got compliance with it. So I did get a latest pest control report end of last week. We did an inspection a couple of weeks back with the building, fire, and myself. There were a couple of items from our side still missing that they have corrected since, but the building department have given them a list of things to do to bring the building into compliance, you know, so they'll be looking at that side, you know. So I guess the management team addressed a couple of them, or a few of them already, but that was a list. I can forward it to the board in case anybody's interested. 321 Leyland Farm Road, this is another housing case we picked up last week that we have issued an order to correct letter, went out Friday. With our disease investigation, we have one TB case that was working. From the last meeting, we did investigate one salmonella case that came to us from Framingham. And that the case was referred to us from Framingham. They was investigating somebody sick there with salmonella. So we have to look into one of our vendors, food vendors. And today we did pick up another TB case that we are looking into. And I'm open for any questions for the board now.
Anybody have any questions for Raj?
Not a question, but just to follow up on the marathon. Yeah, I'm going to be in New York, but if anyone from the board can do it, it's pretty simple. So I don't know. I know that Barbara has volunteered. Have you volunteered for them?
I don't think I have yet, so.
Okay,
This might be the year.
So I usually sit at the high school, which is, an emergency evacuation site. A lot of people go down and they watch the marathon and they just make sure that they can get back to the high school and they go in and check. It's pretty easy. I bring homework. So you got to be down there at 6 o'clock, and you typically wrap up by 1 o'clock at the latest. So it's not, it's pretty simple. So I'm not asking you, but if there's anybody on the board that would consider doing that on Marathon Monday, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, this will be the first year in a while we don't have like a family vacation plan because we're off the school schedule,
hey.
at least for now.
Wonderful. And just to update, right, we do set up two shelters, one at the middle school, one at the high school, right? So usually I take at one of the shelters, one board member can be at the other shelter, and then we usually request 4 to 6 members of the American Red Cross, Basically, our job is to host the person till help arrives. If somebody got injured, dehydrated, or anything around the course, right, we host them till more help arrives, so.
Yeah. And I've never seen any action or emergencies up at the high school end of things, so.
Touch wood, in the last 4 or 5 I have done, we had like maybe 2 or 3 individuals we have helped, so. But touch wood, we don't want
Right.
to have more of it, so.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm sure the weather plays a big role, which actually leads to my next question. So the shelter training, it sounded like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the shelters that you're talking about are both sort of like extreme hot or cold weather shelters, but also extreme weather events, or did I get that wrong?
Anything, of a bigger nature, right? So we do open shelter right now also, usually in the summer season, right? When temperature goes above 92, right? So
Yeah.
we have our shelter at the community center as well as the library, right? Where we during the business hours, right? Anybody can go there. We provide water, all that good stuff, right?
Yep.
So, but now this training is more like, supposedly in case of a bigger hazard, right? We lost power in the whole town, we have to open up a shelter. So we have in our middle school as well as in the high school, right? These are the 2 places that we will be opening up a shelter in case we have to, right? So there'll be training around, what do we do?
Right.
Right, like nowadays, right, there's a lot going on with the pets, or even, who can we let in the shelter? No, though there is no restrictions, but at the same time, we have to watch, if somebody have a criminal background of stuff of that nature, right? So this will be more around how do we manage that, or how do we manage conflict at a shelter,
Right.
right? People with pets again, right? Or people with special needs,
Yeah.
I guess recently, a hospital got, 2 weeks back, a hospital was shut down, like.
Oh, right, yeah. Yep.
Right, like-
Marlboro, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So something of that nature, if the town have to host, right, like even, so I guess we are dividing into 3 parts, temporary shelters, right? Overnight shelter, or something bigger, like for bigger displacement, how do we navigate through, right? Like now if you put it up at one of our schools, the school won't be able to open,
Right.
So stuff like that, how do we go on? So this is our MRC unit, the middle folk, they are planning it,
Yeah.
We're trying to hold it at our community center, right? But our capacity is around 60, 70, people we can host. So there might be, because of 10 communities, right, will be invited to this training, then they're looking for a bigger space, so this is where we are in planning process, possibly in end of March or maybe April will be hosting that training.
Gotcha. And the Stop the Bleed training, who is that open to?
But it's open to our MRC volunteers, but like if any board member want to do, we'll be open to do that, And then at the same note, I want to say that, I'm going to send some training opportunities for the board now under the SAP HE, 2.0, right? There are certain trainings that are recommended for the board members, There are some required for us, right? Like as health inspectors or, as the agents to the board, but there's some recommended for the, even for the board members. And I have some resources to get those trainings paid for our board, So with our shared services, we have some funds we have allocated for our boards, if they want to attend that trainings. And one of the trainings, Dr. J, is about MAHB, training around that, So I'm going to send that to the board. If anybody's interested, please reach out to me or enroll, and then let us know, and then we'll get that taken care of.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Barbara, Maurice, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, next thing on our agenda is the consent agenda. Review and approve the fiscal year 26 year-to-date budget reports and the meeting minutes from January 20th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, and we need a roll call vote. Maurice?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. That's approved, Laura. Future agenda items, we have nothing here. So our next scheduled meeting is March 3rd, 2026. Again, will be in-person and hybrid available also.
Okay.
So I do need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Oh, I guess we can do an all in favor on that one.
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.